The wife disclosed that she had permitted her lover to engage in sexual intercourse with her for a brief period after 11 years of deception. The objective is to salvage a 19-year marriage with 3 children. The incident occurred 11 years ago when I was 27 years old and my wife was approximately 30 years old, with a son who at the time, our children were aged 2 and 8. We had been cohabiting as partners for 8 years. I am now 38 years old and my wife is 41 years old. We have been together for 19 years and married for 11 years. We have 2 additional children, the youngest of whom is a girl who is 6 years old and an 8-year-old boy. A year has elapsed. I kindly request your patience as I navigate the nuances of expressing myself in English, which is not my native language. Our first 8 years together were characterized by a series of challenges and triumphs. Despite these fluctuations, we remained steadfast in our commitment to each other and were unwavering in our support for one another. Our relationship was largely free of significant issues, and we had a strong bond prior to my meeting my wife. I had been in a relationship that spanned 4 years, during which my former partner engaged in infidelity, which ultimately led to the dissolution of that relationship. It was challenging for me to trust someone again. It is noteworthy that my wife was cohabiting with a partner for approximately 1 month when we met. However, they were unable to spend time together because she relocated to my region to pursue employment shortly after accepting the partner. In her statement, she asserted that there was no genuine connection between them and that she eventually terminated her relationship with him because of me, despite my difficulty in trusting. I did so nevertheless, particularly when we were already living together and had a child. After she made the decision to return to work, I chose to quit working in order to finish my final year of education. This is when the issues began. My mother was responsible for our child while she was working, and I was able to focus on my studies due to the fact that my mother resided in a different region. It took us a full day to travel so that we could bring our son to visit her after staying. After a month, we returned to our respective residences with our mother. At this juncture, our relationship was functioning optimally. We elected to retrieve our son after a 6-month interval, with the understanding that I would be responsible for bringing him back to our residence after a 3-week period. I ultimately returned with our son, while my spouse remained in our apartment to relax. At this time, we were already confronting challenges with her the workers had a habit of going out for drinks after work, which resulted in conflicts between us. She became obstinate and entitled as a result of this, stating that she was with friends, including her cousins, who were also her co-workers. Despite my specific request that she refrain from participating in such activities, I communicated with her daily via phone calls and texts while abroad. Upon my return, I observed that she had exhibited an exceptionally pleasant demeanor and was more active than usual while in bed. During the 3-week period of my absence, I was under the impression that she was missing me. After a month had passed, I became curious and accessed her phone, despite hearing notifications that she had received messages. I received a text message from someone at her place of employment, which she responded to by saying, "Stop texting me here. This is my live." In the event that a partner might read it, this caused my chest to feel heavy and it shook me, despite her hasty attempt to grab the phone. I was able to keep it out of her grasp when I inquired about the identity of the individual. She stated that he was of no consequence. She stated that she needed to travel to her sister's house in order to get her hair done and in preparation for the Christmas party that was going to be held at the firm that evening. Upon her departure, I informed her that she would not be able to. I informed her that I would not be able to accompany her, and I responded to the call. The caller was the spouse of the man with whom my wife had been texting. This information came as a complete surprise. It would appear that the individual had kept his phone open. The text messages that I had sent to her boyfriend that morning verified some of her assumptions that they were having an affair at work. She informed me that her spouse had suspected that they were having an affair at work. When I asked her if it would be okay for me to meet her in person so that I could read the text messages, she replied in the affirmative. My wife informed me via text message that it was acceptable for my partner's sister to have her hair done with her sister. I took my son to her house so that she could have her hair done. I informed her that I was going to meet someone and that she had a responsibility to explain things to me when I returned. When I finally met her AP's girlfriend, she gave me permission to view all of the text messages that had been sent between my partner and her AP. Additionally, his girlfriend communicated to me that on a specific evening, he did not return home. On that particular night, someone witnessed him with my partner engaging in activities such as drinking with friends and dancing. On that evening, she stated that they appeared to be more than just friends. They were always together and then disappeared. The blow that hit me the hardest was that during the 3 weeks that I was away with my son, that time period was not one in which I was at home. I am rendered speechless and unable to collect my thoughts when I consider the events that have transpired. The girlfriend of the Associated Press, AP, stated that she confronted my partner at work. However, she asserted that nothing occurred that night and that they are simply friends. She was unable to get a taxi at that moment and merely requested that he drive her home. It is evident that she did not believe his account and I did not either. Consequently, I expressed my gratitude to her and apologized for the incident. That evening, after my spouse returned from the Christmas party at their place of employment, I addressed the incident with her. It was a highly emotional period. I requested that she be truthful with me, but she merely stated that there was no truth to the matter, as she had become enmeshed in a complex situation. I experienced significant distress and dismay. I was enraged and had already considered leaving, but for some reason. We did not separate, primarily because my child was present. She asserted that nothing had occurred that evening and that the man had merely dropped her off at our gate. She instructed him to depart immediately after he had left her there. I have a sense that there is more to the story, but I have chosen to accept it and move on with my life. I made a conscious effort to forget about it and to erase it from my mind. During that time, I became ill and needed her presence. In order to receive medical attention, she continued to work at her job for an additional year before ultimately resigning. Following the incident, she informed me that she never spoke to him again at work, that she never went near him again, and that she ignored him while at work due to my access to her electronic devices. Additionally, she ceased socializing with him. 2 years after the incident, I learned that the man had died in a motorcycle accident. My partner did not appear distressed by this news or by other developments. After what seemed like an extended period, we had finally moved on, and she became pregnant with our second son. Following the marriage, everything returned to its previous state. When we had disagreements, I occasionally brought up the issue with her AP, who had since passed away. This was an attempt to gain the upper hand, but she became defensive and implored me to allow the man to rest in peace. After a year had passed, a conflict emerged between us almost a month ago, and I brought up the subject once more to her. Prior to that, everything was functioning normally. Her anger was so intense that she demanded to know when I would stop questioning her about it. I had the impression that something was going on that day, which is why I exerted a little bit more effort. I informed her that someone had seen them arrive at our apartment that night and that he had gone inside. Given the circumstances, it was reasonable to conclude that the motorcycle had been parked there until morning. However, no one had informed me about it. I had simply misrepresented the facts to her. She had previously informed me about the night that he dropped him off at our gate and then left immediately afterward. I had not disclosed this information to her in any setting. Upon observing that she was taken aback by this, I immediately inquired as to who the individual was who had informed me of this as well as the reason why she had only recently been aware of it. He was a new acquaintance and the woman was not acquainted with the man, yet she had allowed him into her residence. She had permitted him to consume only water, as he had requested. As I discerned the inconsistencies in her account, I realized that I had gained her trust. I inquired about the duration of her presence. She replied that she had only been there for a few minutes. Subsequently, I informed her that her account was untruthful. My friend corroborated that he remained at the residence until dawn, despite her current state of distress. I reiterated that the motorcycle was parked until dawn. I then inquired whether they had completed the task that evening. She responded in the negative, citing her intoxication as the reason. She admitted that they kissed and fondled each other while embracing, but that was all. When I inquired once more about whether or she informed me that he had attempted to request it but she had declined because, she said, she was not content with the fact that she was about to cry and tell me that nothing actually occurred. She was going to cry as we continued to go around in circles. She continued to deny that it was true. At this point, I had a thought. I explained to her, okay, I believe her now. Whatever she's telling me, nothing happened, and I will accept it. However, I told her, here I am at my weakest. In the presence of witnesses, one can maintain eye contact and affirm the veracity of their statements. I accept and believe these statements, yet if they are false, I am the most wretched of men. God is aware of my anguish and knows the extent of your deceit. If you retain even a modicum of respect and affection for your spouse, you will suffer as well from further falsehoods in his presence. I managed to suppress my emotions, and she gazed at me with averted eyes. I then stated that if there were any further issues that required confession, I would address them immediately. I reassured her that I would forgive her if she expressed remorse for her actions. I had made a secure arrangement with her, namely that I would forgive her if she were to admit everything openly and in person that night. After this, she became emotionally distraught and admitted their guilt. At last, he had succeeded in doing so. She informed me that the act took only 3 to 5 minutes. Upon regaining her senses, she kicked him to get him off and verbally abused him. Consequently, he did not complete the act. He inquired about what had transpired, but she continued to place blame on him. He requested her to at least let him complete the act, as he might experience pain if he did not. She refused to allow him to finish and asked him to leave. She recognized the gravity of her actions and informed him that her emotional state would be severely compromised if she discovered that he had not completed the act. He requested that she allow him to continue, citing the potential for pain due to his inability to finish immediately. She proceeded to take a lengthy shower, during which she experienced a profound sense of emotional distress and physical discomfort. The assertion that he took advantage of her by kissing and fondling her despite her initial declination is a claim that requires substantiation. It is evident that as the encounter progressed, he became increasingly insistent, which instilled a sense of terror in her. The prospect of what he might do if she persisted in her rejection was a significant factor in her decision. He informed her that he was far away and that no one would know if no one would tell, and he would not make her pregnant. Additionally, he assured her that he would not make her pregnant. The motivation behind her decision to acquiesce is unclear. She sought to hasten the conclusion of the encounter by blocking him out of her thoughts and focusing on me instead. While he was using her, she refused to let her thoughts wander away from me. The fact that he was so young and had not been circumcised, in addition to the fact that she was under the influence of alcohol, caused her to feel numb during the time that he was abusing her. This prompted me to take notice. She informed me that she was repulsed by him and thought only of me. I surmised that she terminated the relationship when she observed that he was unable to complete the act due to his inebriation. This information came as a complete surprise to me. Despite the significant disruption to my life, I continued to communicate with her, reassuring her of my commitment to forgive her. We ultimately decided to conclude the conversation and retire for the night. I reassured her that she need not be concerned. However, at that moment, my mind was racing. I was informed that she was afraid that her confession would alter the way that I viewed her and that this would cause me to abandon her. It was then that she began to rouse me, and we accomplished it that night. Nevertheless, she is the only one who did all of the work. I responded by saying, "Don't worry about anything. We will face this step by step." However, my mind was on the verge of exploding at that time. I had a difficult after that. I made the decision to inquire further about the events that transpired that evening. However, she continued to maintain her belief that he did not complete the tale and apologized once more for what she had done. She expressed her desire for my forgiveness and stated that she did not want me to abandon her. She indicated that she was willing to do everything for me. However, it was a falsehood on her part to tell me that she had also been suffering all those years. She said she suffered as a result of that. She developed anxiety and depression as a result of her actions. She recently disclosed that she had lied for 11 years because she did not want to cause me harm and because she did not want our family to be destroyed, as our children would be the most severely affected. She is aware of how she disregarded me and betrayed my confidence by allowing him to remain at our place and carrying out the actions she did. She is deeply remorseful for her actions and acknowledges that it was an error in judgment. She maintains that she did not intend to do anything and that he simply took advantage of her vulnerability on that particular evening. She has admitted to me that she made a mistake and that she does not love him. She has even gone so far as to tell me that she wants to tell her sister about it and that she wants to know if she can report him because she felt scared and coerced. However, she ultimately opted against doing so because she was afraid of what would happen if I found out. I consider all that she has stated, but I no longer believe each and every one of them. She informed me that they are always together at work, going to their task, and that he showed her interest by always giving her food and asking whether she had already eaten. I asked her if it is possible that she doesn't have any feelings for him. She said that it is difficult for her to not have any love for him. In her confession, she admitted to a slight attraction to him, but she did not claim that she already loved him. According to her, she only had a slight fondness for him due to the attention he received, and that was the extent of it. When I inquired about her feelings towards him, she responded that she did not feel attracted to him and that she simply enjoyed his company and the attention he provided. None of her feelings for him were romantic, even though it has been approximately a month since D-. Regarding the children, we are doing well and have decided to maintain the status quo. However, I informed her that I was still deciding what would take place and that I had not yet forgiven her, despite my promise to do so if she admitted her guilt. I believe that I would be able to forgive her, as I am only human, and I believe that forgiveness is a natural human response. I had assumed that forgiveness would be a simple process. However, I discovered that I was not yet in a position to forgive her. Before going to sleep, we participated in a sharing therapy session. This involved allowing each other the opportunity to talk and share our opinions without interrupting or commenting on what was being said. Throughout the entire session, the other person's responsibility was to simply listen. The next person then had the opportunity to share. Consider the information that your spouse shared the night before to be truthfully conveyed and to be the rule that must be followed at all times. I requested a timetable regarding them, and I simply listened to her. This is of great assistance. She recounted all that she could recall. In addition to the lunch dates, conversations, and topics discussed between the two, she revealed that he had requested her to leave me and be with him. Furthermore, I provided my thoughts and feelings regarding the material she presented, as well as my overall perception of it. Some information was uncovered through our communication that was not disclosed during the disclosure. D. The aforementioned day proved beneficial insofar as it facilitated the uncovering of certain details, which had previously remained obscured due to my preoccupation with the information she had disclosed. I am currently experiencing intermittent bouts of intense emotional distress, accompanied by feelings of anger. Conversely, I am grateful that the incident has brought to light the events that transpired on that particular evening. My imagination is no longer necessary, and I am already familiar with the specifics. During moments of intense pain, I ensured that she was aware of everything that was going on, and she was quite supportive. Over time, I am gradually coming to terms with her presence in my life. She complied with all of my demands and did whatever I suggested in order to improve our relationship. She consented to all of my criteria. Despite my anticipation that her pride and ego would get in the way, she severed the relationship. The only situation that she is unable to tolerate is the prospect of me forming an attachment to another woman. Despite experiencing fluctuations in mood, I am willing to remain in the relationship for an extended period. However, I continue to experience distress when I reflect on the incident. When I view films and observe postures comparable to those performed by my wife and her assistant on that evening, I experience a painful emotional response. Could there be a possibility of forgiveness? I am currently unable to determine whether she is deserving of a more extended opportunity. I am grateful to you all for your comments and thoughts, which I find very much appreciated. I would like to provide one more update. I would like to thank everyone for your comments and thoughts, which I find very much appreciated. Additionally, I would like to mention that there was a period of time when she gave me permission to whip her a total of 19 times, 8 times with a stick and 11 times that I used my hands. These incidents occurred 8 years prior to the cheating and 11 years after the cheating. The initial 8 years of her life were arguably the most challenging, as they were the years in which she made the decision to deceive. It is possible that this decision marked the beginning of a pattern of dishonesty that has persisted for over a decade. During this time, she has been unfaithful to me on numerous occasions. In examining the dynamics of infidelity, I came across a statement that suggested a potential approach for a betrayed partner to regain some sense of pride and strength of character. This approach involved allowing the unfaithful spouse to face the consequences of their actions with the understanding that it would help them to recognize the need to change. This suggests that those who engage in infidelity may have underlying narcissistic tendencies. Those who are narcissistic and have enormous egos are not able to be submissive and humiliated, as they always want to be in control. This is something that everyone is aware of. I simply informed her about it and she said that she was in complete agreement with me. However, I can assure you that it was not a walk in the park for her, despite the fact that it is not in my nature to cause bodily harm to another person. The marks that I made on her body even caused me to damage my hand for her to be able to walk and sit in an appropriate manner. It required several days for her to recover. The fact that she persevered to the very end is a testament to her resilience, despite the fact that she is free to quit at any point. I will freely admit that the fact that she allowed herself to be subservient was a significant factor in our relationship. The act of enduring my punishment and allowing me to regain my shattered sense of manhood was, in and of itself, a form of retribution. It provided me with a sense of control and relaxation during that period. I felt that I had the upper hand in prolonging my relationship with her. The reason for this is that I sensed her regret. Over the course of 11 years, she engaged in deceitful behavior, which negatively impacted my role as a father and husband. Despite my capacity for forgiveness, I was unable to overlook her actions. I informed her that her actions were unacceptable and could not be forgiven. I advised her to accept responsibility for her actions at an early stage. During this period, I experienced intense anger due to my volatile temperament. My children also became detached and distant. In addition to enduring hardships, I also attempted to cheat on my wife. However, I was able to stop myself at the last moment. My wife was aware of my infidelity while I was destroying the house. She was sobbing in the corner of the room due to the issues we were having. I am currently filled with a great deal of rage when I think about it. I do not believe I will be able to tolerate the person in the future. I would have already sought a separation if I were in my wife's position. Additionally, I have experienced near-death situations due to illness and accidents, which have provided insights into life's more profound realities, despite my wife's perspective. I am aware that not everyone may concur with my assessment, but I stand by it nonetheless, despite the possibility of accusations. I was accused of being weak, yet my perspective on the matter is the antithesis of this accusation. I experienced feelings of isolation, despite the impression that I had a home with my wife. In reality, I was homeless, even if she had not yet admitted it to me. At that time, I offered her a second chance, but made it abundantly clear that it was the final chance she would ever have. Furthermore, we agreed that I would be in an open relationship, but she would not. This would only occur in the event that I have already determined that she is no longer fulfilling the roles of a good wife and mother to our children. If she is aware of this fact, will I utilize this option? I ensured that she was aware that I retain the right to make this choice and that I am able to do so when necessary. It is imperative that she abstains from involvement in matters pertaining to infidelity. In the event that she becomes aware of any interest from another individual, she is obliged to disclose all pertinent information to me so that we can intervene at an early stage and prevent any further complications. She complied with this request. Furthermore, I informed her that should I ever suspect that she is concealing something from me, it will result in should I gain the impression that she is concealing something from me once more, the inevitable consequence will be the dissolution of our relationship. I am convinced that all of my children belong to me, and their physical appearance is identical to mine. Indeed, my daughter is resentful of this fact, as she is a reflection of me. It seems that there is no need for DNA testing. I also contemplate what might have been had I simply left 11 years ago. I adhere to theistic beliefs and am aware that there is a rationale behind God's decision not to permit it to take place. Despite the simplicity of the alternative, I maintain my belief in God. Additionally, I question whether leaving at this moment would be beneficial, despite recognizing that it is not the optimal decision. In a nation where divorce is not legally permitted, we have reached a consensus, despite the objections of some. Some may be unable to move on from infidelity. I am moving towards embracing what has occurred and acknowledging that it is a natural part of life. Life is brutal and unforgiving, but it is up to us to decide whether or not we will allow it to consume us. I pray that God will bless all those who are currently experiencing pain. You have my support, and I pray that you will be able to. One must find the strength within oneself to reject anger and instead embrace love. The second update is that we are still working to reconcile. Time is a significant component for me when it comes to dealing with all of this. I came to the conclusion that I would remain and give it another shot, but with some modifications to the way we were set up. Another relationship is permitted, and I may utilize this password at my discretion, particularly if I perceive that she is not genuinely committed to reconciliation. We have agreed that I may pursue another relationship, provided that she is kept informed. She is currently open with her gadgets and will inform me if someone attempts to engage with her at work or elsewhere. It is imperative that we address this issue as soon as possible, given that she has only been given a second opportunity and no other choice for a third. She must avoid any involvement that could lead to infidelity or result in me accusing her of wrongdoing once more. I can confirm that she is genuinely remorseful and regrets her actions. Despite the ongoing challenges, she consistently demonstrates a willingness to assist in the reconciliation process. She endeavors to provide support, even as we continue to navigate our lives with our children. I find myself still experiencing moments of intense laughter when I reflect on our situation. While it is not as challenging as it was in the immediate aftermath of the incident, it is clear that there are still significant hurdles to overcome. On the day in question, I made a point of communicating my feelings to her and informing her of the breach of my trust in her, in order to facilitate our collective coping mechanisms. I requested her assistance with certain tasks, and she expressed no objections, with the exception of one item. This matter is not known to any other individual from her family or mine. We are the only ones aware of the difficulties we are facing as a result of my familiarity with her. I have concluded that her primary motivation for cheating on me is her selfish nature. To test her, I intend to force her to do what I believe she fears the most. As a self-centered individual, she places a high value on her reputation among our mutual friends and family members. She is reluctant to allow her reputation to be tarnished or compromised in any way, particularly as a result of my actions. I have requested that she confess her infidelity to both of our parents. We will ask them to keep all of this information will remain between us and will not be disclosed to anyone else in either of our families. Furthermore, we will seek guidance from our families on how to reconcile our differences, rather than allowing her to confess to other members of our family and friends. I made the decision to only allow her to confess to our parents when I informed her about this test. I observed that her response was sincere. This is the basis of my observations when she realized that both of our parents would be aware. It is sufficient for her to demonstrate that she is capable of making this ultimate sacrifice. After a period of time, she acquiesced but initially requested that I allow her to inform her parents about it. She will then proceed. I informed her that I considered it a triumph and that it would facilitate reconciliation. I assured her that once she achieved this, would lose my past in order to have another relationship, and I would only concentrate on giving her my full attention once more. I intend to replace her as her partner and we are going to move on from this unfortunate situation. I have made it clear to her that I am willing to forgive her, but that I cannot condone her actions. Cheating is unacceptable and incompatible with the values of a healthy relationship. I would like to hear from those who have reconciled successfully. In light of these considerations, what do you consider to be the most important test that you believe is required for you to demonstrate that your marriage is still worthy of another chance? I took into account numerous factors, including our children and our lives together over the 19 years that we were married, despite the fact that she lied to me for more than half of that time, and my feelings toward her. Based on these factors, I believe that she has expressed remorse for her actions and has demonstrated a commitment to rectifying the situation. Furthermore, she has dedicated herself to our family. The DNA results have confirmed that I am the biological father of her children. There is no evidence of sexually transmitted diseases. She engaged in deceit for 11 years, but it appears to have been motivated primarily by a desire to safeguard the integrity of our family. This aligns with my initial assessment. It is evident that half of this peacetime plays a significant role in how one copes with situations. It is unfortunate that I was cheated and lied to, but I am aware that time is a factor. It is my opinion that failures are an inevitable aspect of life. Additionally, I believe that starting over is not always the optimal solution. I am fully committed to this process. To all couples who have been betrayed, especially male spouses like myself, it is acceptable to grieve. I empathize with the excruciating pain you are enduring. I hope that we can all attain the serenity we seek and that we can rebuild our trust in one another. To the spouses who have been cheated on, is it permissible to consider? One might consider oneself unfortunate for having been cheated, or conversely, fortunate for having discovered the truth. It seems inevitable that there will always be a cheater in a relationship, regardless of gender. My own experience of living with this reality has prompted me to raise this issue. My partner has already admitted her guilt to both our parents, 3 months after the event. Given their dissatisfaction with her, it is evident that they prefer us to reconcile rather than pursue separate paths, particularly in light of the children. I am gratified that she was able to accomplish this, despite the considerable challenges she faced. I am confident that I have the parents' support, as I was the one who disclosed the affair and provided them with a detailed account. In addition, my wife has communicated with them and expressed remorse for the affair. They acknowledged her apology and advised her to refrain from repeating the infraction. Furthermore, they informed her that she would have to regain my trust by maintaining secrecy regarding the affair and preventing its disclosure. Conversely, this is where her parents' perspective diverges. They perceive the situation as a significant challenge. It is unfortunate to learn of such a distressing situation. Infidelity can be a challenging aspect to navigate, and the emotions involved are often complex. It is encouraging to observe that your wife has taken steps to enhance transparency and has expressed remorse for her actions. It is not uncommon to experience a range of emotions during this process. These emotions may include skepticism and hurt, as the process of re-establishing trust is a gradual one. For the healing process to be successful, it is essential for both partners to demonstrate patience and dedication. The following suggestions may be helpful. 1. In one communication, it is important to maintain consistent and open channels of communication. During this process, it is beneficial to talk to your wife about your emotions, concerns, and uncertainties. It is essential to communicate in an honest and respectful manner. In seeking professional treatment, it may be beneficial to consult with a marriage counselor or therapist. A professional can provide guidance and facilitate impartial and helpful conversations. Individual counseling may be beneficial for both you and your wife. It is recommended that couples seek counseling on an individual basis to process their own feelings and gain insights into the underlying causes of the affair. Establishing clear boundaries and expectations for the future is an essential step in the process of rebuilding trust. In order to set appropriate boundaries, it is important to discuss and agree on the modifications that need to be implemented to prevent similar problems from occurring in the future. It is essential to be patient and understand that rebuilding trust takes time. It is important to recognize that rebuilding trust will take time as you progress. It is natural to encounter obstacles and uncertainties along the way. It is essential to maintain a patient attitude towards both yourself and your wife as you navigate this challenging journey, taking into account the impact on your children. It is understandable that you are concerned about the effect this will have on your children. It is crucial to ensure their well-being is a top priority. The well-being of the children is of paramount importance. It is essential to consider ways to mitigate the potential impact of separation on them. The decision to pursue further reconciliation attempts or to opt for an alternative course of action is a personal one that requires careful reflection to ascertain whether progress is being made. It may be beneficial to regularly assess one's feelings. It is crucial to remember that, during this challenging period, seeking support from friends, family, or a support group can be beneficial.